That is not a bad result for cleaning the lawnmower carburetor using Coca-Cola. This is the first stage of my lawn renovation project. Of course, I gotta make sure that my lawnmower works, and I really haven't taken this apart. Never really done a fair maintenance on it since I owned it in 2003. So this is gonna be fun. I took out the carburetor coming from this part of the lawnmower, and I'm gonna put it back together because it was filled with gunk. This is the carburetor itself, and learning a little bit more about it, we'll see how this goes. Pretty much it has that floater right under the belly of the carburetor, and this is still filled with gunk, so I'm gonna wipe that clean. Also has this drum, or belly I guess is what it's called, but the bowl is located underneath, and it covers this. The floater is situated here. It has that a needle goes through that hole, not this hole but the one next to it, and I don't know if you can see that red rubber. There it is, that red rubber that's inside, seated all the way in. I'm trying to make this as home video ready, home video understandable as I go along. It gives me a good excuse to tinkle with the lawnmower and really see for myself how it works and how I could use it to becoming a serious lawn guy, taking care of this new lawn that I want to put down for the fall. Before we go to the entire process of renovating the lawn, the first step is right tool for the right job, and we got to maintain this tool. This is what we're doing today, and we'll see how it goes. So let's go. So going over the basic parts that I took apart earlier, that I soaked in the Coca-Cola. Earlier when I showed you the casing for the carburetor, it didn't have this floater yet on the last segment that I did. But what I've done here is I've attached the floater using that pin right at the hinge, and if you take a look at it, right underneath that metal part over there is a pin. It's basically a piece of steel pointed that go all the way to another hole where this thing will move. But right now, as we put it together, it will give you some of the parts where I needed to take a look at, some of the parts of this cast iron carburetor to troubleshoot for any leaks. The reason why I took this whole thing apart from that section of the engine is I had some leaks before, and I might as well just go to the inner workings of the carburetor just to see if there is. So hopefully we don't get any of that today as I do troubleshooting for the equipment. This black gasket right here is an area where we could potentially have leaks once we put the bowl covering this part of the carburetor. But right now it's old, but it seems like it's still intact. I don't see any crack on it. I don't see any severe wearing off of that black gasket. So for now, I think we are safe. What I'm gonna do now is I will put the bowl right on top. So I'm only using two hands today. I don't have my tripod, so I will show you once I have that metal bowl already covering this. Also, to keep the bowl in place, this threaded hole is where we will put screw with another gasket that will hold the bolt together. This whole thing is oriented this way, right over there. This outlet inlet tube is where the fuel rubber tubing would get inserted on. So I'll this is just a preview of what's going to happen, but I'll give you a good view of it once I get everything all put together. Alright, so here we go. This is the bowl that I was talking to you guys about, and I've just cleaned out this screw with the gasket that goes through that hole. There's that floater that I talked to you guys about earlier. I think we have a better angle right now, so we're gonna put that bowl to cover the whole floater needle assembly, and then now we're gonna put that screw. Don't forget that gasket, because without that gasket you'll have fuel potentially leaking out of the bottom of that hole, because again, I told you earlier, the orientation of this will be like that from the bottom up. So let's thread this in and see how well it sits on there. So it will take me a little while to, there we go. Got something catching there, so now it's all being threaded in. Get a pair of pliers to tighten that up. Try to slowly tighten it without being hard on it. Be good if we have. I'm making sure also that as I initially tighten the screw, that I kind of move that bowl back and forth like that, or sideways, just to let the gasket, that black brown circular gasket, sit and catch the bowl. We'll tighten it up again. One more turn. Maybe one more. There we go. We got it. That's looking good so far, and hopefully with what we did, there won't be anything leaking through that seam. That seam is just there, but it is sealed because of that black O-ring that is all the way around. That aluminum casing is what's on the bottom of the carburetor. All right, let's get a different angle again. All right, so now that we got the carburetor assembled, we're now going to put the carburetor itself into the engine and attach it to the engine of the lawnmower. That hole right there with that black gasket is where this part of the carburetor will go on. Important also that as we do that, this part, the whole of this plastic should attach to this crankshaft, this spring-loaded or spring-attached wire with this part, that end of that wire. Very clear view of that wire end right there, shaped like an L. This is how the carburetor should be sitting on when it's attached, the orientation of the carburetor when it's attached to the engine, horizontally, and you thread that end of the wire into that hole and then put it upright. Gonna hold that wire, put it upright, and there you got it. All right, the end hose for the fuel is where you will attach that end to. Right there is a pipe that has an extended piece, maybe 2 to 3 millimeters out, and that fits into the hole, and you'll see that it's fitted. It's got that gap still because you don't have the screw yet. I have the screws. The size of this is 3/8 of an inch. So we got the carburetor already attached to the engine. The last thing that we need to do for this part of the assembly is the tubing comes with, it's a ring that they use. We'll thread this all the way up near the attachment to make sure that we get a tight fit, and the rubber tube doesn't come off, and no leaks are going to happen. So just clip it right there and you put it toward the terminal end of that black tube. And so far things seem to be fitting okay. If you guys have any experience doing this, you know, disassembling your carburetor and rebuilding it and cleaning it and whatnot, go on ahead and write that on the comment section. I would like to hear about your experience, and let's have a conversation about it. But for now, the next step is for us to attach the air filter assembly that will go right on this side, right on that side of the engine. There is a hole where the casing for this rubber tubing, the casing for the air filter is going to go here, and there's a pre-molded preset adapter that will go there as well. So I'll talk to you about that later on.